All right, Ronan MMA, welcome back to the channel. Now, UFC Fight Night Kara-France versus Albazi took place yesterday, wrapped up last night. This is the morning after recap show, of course, but I think that was probably, in my opinion, the worst robbery of the year so far, and I can't wait to get to that main event. I'm going to try to rip through the earlier fights as quickly as I possibly can so I can spend more time on that main event. Before we get into it, please like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I will thank you in advance. Thank you very much. Yesterday, I absolutely shat the bed in terms of picks, which I don't typically do. This is only the second card of the year of which I've gone negative, and this was the worst card of the year for me in terms of picks, and it completely balanced out my 10-2 card on the last event. So anyways, dude, let's get right into it. First fight of the night, Felipe Lins versus Max GRISHIN. Okay, there were a bunch of weird decisions on this card. I would have to go back and watch this one because if I'm being honest, I missed the first two rounds. I was busy doing something else, and because it was a bit of an earlier start for these fights, I didn't have a chance to catch it, and then I wanted to be live, so I just kept watching from where I was at. But if you look at the strikes on this fight, it's pretty insane. But then you look at the significant strikes, it's a little bit closer. And then I guess you have to factor in the takedowns and all the stuff like that. Again, I would have to go back and rewatch it because, full disclosure, I missed most of this fight. That third round didn't look too entertaining to me, so I don't know that I missed the best fight in the world. But either way, I picked Max GRISHIN to win. I thought he would get it done by KO. I thought that Felipe Lins been KO'd 4 or 5 times in his career and was quite inactive. So I thought that we would see Max GRISHIN get a KO over him, but that was not the case. Obviously, moving on up to the next fight was BLACKSHEAR versus LACERDA. Okay, I picked LACERDA to win. He lost. I think I said that he would submit BLACKSHEAR because I thought that BLACKSHEAR would be confident in his skills and his abilities to go to the ground, and that would potentially get him in trouble. And he did not. That was correct, right? And there were a few moments where LACERDA almost locked up a submission. He was unable to do so though, and he just would not let that. He would not let that leg go, which I thought was a mistake because he left himself open. And BLACKSHEAR's got long arms, and while he doesn't really have he doesn't necessarily have KO power on the feet, he does though when, you know, gravity is on your side and you're raining down ground and pound shots to a face that is completely unprotected because both hands are wrapped around your opponent's leg in an attempt to get a leg lock of some sort. So good performance by BLACKSHEAR. Was close, right? Almost got subbed, but he was able to get the finish in round number 2, and that was good on him. And in terms of strikes, it was not close even a little bit, but either way, dude. Moving on up, next fight, Elise Reed versus FREY. I don't know, man. First one that I got right was Elise Reed over FREY. I think I saw some people complaining about a robbery with this one, and I don't really see the case for it whatsoever. Elise Reed outstruck her in totals 94-42. Significant strikes were 53-28. I think she outstruck her in every single round in terms of significant strikes, and the gap got bigger every round as the fight went on. So I don't know. It was a pretty slow, drawn out decision for me, though. I was almost falling asleep at this point. I had to get a caffeinated beverage. And then we move on up to the next fight, Jamie Mullarkey versus NAIMOV. Okay, I picked the wrong short notice Tajikistani. Okay, I don't know how you say that, but Jamie Mullarkey was a minus 460 favorite, man. That is fucking mental. And he was doing exactly what, I thought he would be. He was picking him apart at range. His style was awkward for him to deal with. He was having a lot of success on the feet, and he got caught, and it was a beautiful shot from NAIMOV. What a way to enter the UFC, man. On extremely short notice, you get a KO over a very tough, crafty veteran in Jamie Mullarkey. I mean, that's about as good as it gets. So good performance by him. It was unfortunate for Jamie Mullarkey. At first, I thought the stoppage was a little bit early, but then once I saw the replay or the clip of Jamie Mullarkey trying to get back to his feet and him wobbling quite a bit, unable to really get back to his feet at first, I went, okay, that's fine then. You know what I mean? So good performance by NAIMOV. Short notice, incredible, dude, as a massive underdog to boot. So moving on up to the next fight of the night. This was the Tajikistan guy that I picked. Okay, John Castaneda versus Muin Gafurov. In my opinion, I don't want to sound salty because I picked Muin Gafurov to win, because this wouldn't matter. I wouldn't have gotten it correct anyways, but I think that it potentially could have been a draw. At first, I didn't agree with the point deduction because I thought, well, that like he didn't headbutt him on purpose, right? Like, he's doing that nonstop anyways, which was actually driving me crazy. I can't stand when guys do that. Don't lead with your fucking head, okay? It's stupid. But he kept doing it, and at the beginning of round 2, he complained to the referee, Chris Tonioni, that there was a clash of heads that was caused by him. So I thought, why are you bitching, dude? You're the one that keeps fucking dipping and leading with your head. And then he goes and he does it again, and it lands pretty good. And that one seemed a little more over it. You know, there's an argument that it was intentional. I don't know. But if you look at the round by round significant strikes scoring, round number 3, he outstruck him in significant strikes by 4, and he outstruck him in total strikes by 8. And while John Castaneda had a couple takedowns, he didn't do a whole lot with him. Round number 2, he outstruck him by almost 20. He outstruck him by 19 and then by 14 in significant strikes. This was the round that he, of course, got the point deduction, so that would have been a 9-9 round. I could potentially see a world where you give him round number 3 10-9 and then 10-9 for John Castaneda in round number 1, because he got that knockdown even though he got outstruck on the feet in terms of significant strikes. But either way, what a fucking fight. It's unfortunate that CACARES, well, it's not unfortunate because we got to watch it, but for these guys, it's unfortunate that CACARES and PINEDA put on such a fucking fight, because these guys probably would have got fight of the night. This guy probably would have got a bonus. It was a very fun fight. Yeah, both good job by both guys. That was a fucking phenomenal one. Moving on up, next fight, Andrei Arlovsky versus Don'Tale Mayes. I picked Andrei Arlovsky to win, man, because I thought he was going to be able to stick and move at range. He was going to be faster. He was going to be able to avoid the heavy strikes of Don'Tale Mayes, and then eventually Don'Tale Mayes was going to get tired because he's such a big guy who is not in the best shape. And it looked like I was going to be right, man, until it didn't. You know what I mean? He outstruck him, Arlovsky did, pardon me, outstruck him in round number 1 by a pretty decent margin, right? He was landing at a 59% clip, 16 total strikes, whereas Don'Tale Mayes was landing at a 22% clip, 11 of 51, right? And then as the fight goes on, you're going to expect him to slow down a bit. 51 strikes to throw in an opening round for a big heavyweight that doesn't have a lot of cardio is quite a bit, right? And then significant strikes, Arlovsky almost doubled him up, 14-8. And then round number 2, right, Arlovsky gets finished, and it was very unfortunate. He was looking good up until that point, man, and it would have been an underdog pick, but good performance by Don'Tale Mayes. He started, actually, even before he dropped him in round number 2, even towards the end of round number 1, he started finding things that were landing, that were getting through on Arlovsky. And then I think after that moment in round number 1, towards the very end there, he landed kind of a Superman punch deal. Arlovsky seemed to be a little bit more hesitant and wasn't as willing to engage, which I think could have potentially been the reason he ended up getting clipped, because he wasn't, I don't know, he wasn't moving the same, he wasn't going in, he wasn't countering the same, he seemed hesitant, and I don't blame him, because, you know, you got hurt with a shot, whatever, it is what it is. 44 years old, still looks competitive. Good performance by Don'Tale Mayes. Moving on up, Daniel Santos, the mini Charles Oliveira versus Johnny Munoz. This was a great fight. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. Daniel Santos, fucking Jesus, man, look at this. Total strikes, 134-64 in total strikes. Significant strikes, 50-18. He absolutely dominated. He shows that even if he doesn't get the finish, he's able to get the job done against a pretty good opponent in Johnny Munoz, who had a few close moments with some submissions on the ground there. But Daniel Santos hip to it, right? Training with Charles Oliveira and guys like that. I'm sure he's aware of how to defend against submissions, and he was able to do so every single time, even though there was a few moments that triangle was locked up pretty tight. Great performance by him. It's going to be really interesting to see him moving forward, man. He is very fun to watch on the feet. He is fun to watch on the ground. He's not just laying on top of you and just kind of stalling out the round, you know what I mean? He's actually doing damage. He's landing shots. He's waiting for opportune moments. And those shots that he's landing off the ground are big shots too, which I really like to see from guys on the ground as opposed to guys just kind of laying on top of you, which is, this was the feature prelim fight, so we're now moving to the main card. Okay, Abubakar Nurmagomedov versus Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. Okay, this one was a split decision, very close fight. It was a fun fight, right? Abubakar Nurmagomedov didn't have a whole lot for him on the feet, and I thought that he kind of let that opening moment go to waste, man, because he had Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos hurt pretty significantly, and he instead used it to shoot for a takedown where I thought, you know, the way that Zaleski dos Santos was covering up, knees were available, uppercuts were available, things like that. But of course, Dagestani wrestler, striking is not his number one forte. Total strikes were 48-50, so very close in terms of that. Significant strikes were 29-42, relatively close, right? Broken up over the course of 3 rounds. Takedowns 0-1. That was something Zaleski dos Santos was very good at, was defending those takedowns and being able to, you know what I mean? It wasn't even like his ability to get back up. He literally didn't let it happen. Oh, I just got something in my fucking eye, dude. So it was good for him. Total strikes, round number 1, 15-10. 12-10, significant. Abubakar Nurmagomedov, I believe, wins that first round. Second round, total strikes 20-19 with a takedown, but significant strikes are 5 of 14. And where Zaleski dos Santos was doing a lot of his work, that at the end of the fight, if I'm being honest, I picked Abubakar Nurmagomedov to win. I thought that Zaleski dos Santos probably should have got the decision. The reason was he was doing a lot more damage, but where he was doing that damage is hard to see for some. And I was hoping that the judges didn't fuck him over because he was landing really nice shots in the clinch, whereas Abubakar Nurmagomedov was not, right? Zaleski dos Santos would land really hard knees in the clinch to the body that had a lot of pop on him. Nurmagomedov would try to do the same, and they just did not look the same. Do you know what I mean? Like, Zaleski dos Santos fast twitch, Nurmagomedov not so much. And that's where I thought he was doing a lot of his damage. And, you know, credit to Nurmagomedov. The dude's got a chin. Body's tough as fucking nails. But they got the decision correct. And if it would have gone the other way, I would come here and tell you that I don't think it should have, even though I picked Nurmagomedov to win. I think that was a pretty clear 2-1 Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos victory there. So good performance by him coming back after the juice, right? Had to take a year off. Tainted supplement. Yeah, fucking right, my guy. But either way, dude, he still looks good. So good for him. Moving on up. Karine Silva versus Ketlin Souza. I said I thought Karine Silva would get a finish here, and she did just that. What a fucking... Dude, they're finding some real fun chicks, which I appreciate, man. I appreciate that a lot. That was a great performance. Great performance by Karine Silva. She looks like an absolute savage. Once she took her down, there wasn't a whole lot of resistance, and she fucked that girl's knee up. That was brutal to watch and very unfortunate, you know what I mean? You got to tap quick, dude. If you get a guy who's actually, or a girl in this case, I guess, who's actually, you know, good at leg locks and knows how to do them and shit, you got to fucking tap, dude. You do not want your knee popping out like that. That is a serious injury. It's going to be a long road to recovery, and it's unfortunate, but amazing performance by Karine Silva. Very excited to see her and what she can do in that flyweight division, because flyweight division is stale, right? At the top, it's stale. I'm sick of seeing those same girls, top 5, top 10, who all of them except for Alexa Grasso now has lost to the champion. So it's like, it's good that we're getting some fresh competition, and not just girls who are good everywhere though. I like that too, because Karine Silva's got a mix. She does usually like to get it done by submission. She has a couple KOs, whereas the other, my nose is whistling, dude. I apologize for that. Ketlin Souza was the exact opposite, right? Most of her wins were by KO. She had, I think, 1 or 2 submissions on her record, but good shit. Good performance by Karine Silva. Very good performance. Can't wait to see where she goes next. Okay, next fight. Tim Elliott versus Victor Altamirano. I picked Altamirano to win because I thought he was going to be able to hurt Tim Elliott on the feet, right? And I thought that a 36-year-old Tim Elliott, who's been inactive, wouldn't be able to recover the same as a Tim Elliott who was active again. You know what I mean? The same as like a guy back when he fought Demetrius Johnson. Like, this guy's been fighting for a very long time. That was a very long time ago. You know what I mean? So I thought that Victor Altamirano would be able to tag him on the feet. And in fairness, he was a few times, right? He tagged him a few times. Head kick. Big shots landed. Tim Elliott, hell of a fucking chin, dude. Good for him. Not the most entertaining fight, if I'm being honest, man. I don't really like Tim Elliott's style, but it is what it is. And something that was driving me crazy was in round number 1. Now, most of them didn't get counted as significant, and I think the only reason for that is that he was on the bottom. But this bugged the shit out of me. In that first round, when he first got taken down, the guy who was doing the damage was Victor Altamirano from bottom. Elbows, like fucking crazy, right? Tim Elliott wasn't doing shit in round number 1 with his takedowns. He got outstruck in total strikes, but then they say in terms of significant, it was 9-2, which means they didn't count any of fucking Victor Altamirano's elbows from bottom as significant strikes, which are fucking crazy to me, dude, because at the end of that round, Tim Elliott's face was the one that was all red and swollen and shit. You know what I mean? But doesn't really matter, is what it is. Even in round number 2, he got outstruck in terms of significant strikes, only by 2, right? And he probably had a lot of control time, but that is what it is, dude. Either way, wasn't the most exciting performance. I feel good for Tim Elliott, though. You know what I mean? To go through what he went through and come back, get a victory in the UFC after being inactive at 36 years of age. Good shit, Victor Altamirano. He was good. He just needed, there was a few areas that he needs to tighten up. And I mean, even his coaches told him, like, stop throwing leg kicks. And he didn't really listen. Instead of throwing his rear leg, because that was the one that Tim was catching, he started throwing his lead leg, which led to a couple takedowns also. So he's got some things to improve on. You know what I mean? He's not super old, so he'll have time to do that. Good performance by Tim Elliott. And yeah, he just grinded that one out, man. Doing what Tim Elliott does. Next fight, Jim Miller versus Jesse Butler. All right, dude, I picked Jim Miller to win by sub, and he fucking starches homeboy. That was brutal. That was a phenomenal KO, and I was so happy. I love seeing the old guys get it done, man. And to be 39 at fucking lightweight and be doing that to some, like, up-and-comer, 23 seconds or something, dude, incredible. That was incredible. I love that. 3 total strikes he threw. Or landed, pardon me. 3 of 5 he landed. And just that uppercut, by the way, super necessary. Super necessary, because that added to the highlight. Absolutely. And Jesse Butler, man, I mean, Jesus, dude. You don't want to be getting starched by Jim Miller, you know what I mean, in your UFC debut. And we'll give credit where it's due, though. Jim Miller did give him credit. You know, he said he took this fight on like 2 days' notice. So I really appreciate him. And I appreciate Jim Miller giving him that credit, because he did, man. We had a lot of guys that stepped up and took these fights on short notice on this card. And, you know, it worked in some of their favor. Jesus fuck, dude. But it didn't in other cases. And Jesse Butler, unfortunately for him, was it did not work out in his favor. Jim Miller still doing the damn thing. Goddamn, that was awesome to see. I hope that from now on they do just give him older opponents. Like, why don't we see a Jim Miller versus a Tony Ferguson? You know what I mean? That would be a fine fight. Jim Miller versus Tony Ferguson. Do it. Book it, dude. Okay? That would be a fun fight. Both of them are older. Both towards the end of their career. Like, you know, Jim Miller, honestly, at this point, is looking better than Tony Ferguson is. And it would just be a fun one, man, that the fans would love to watch. Anyways, dude, next fight, moving on up. Alex Caceres versus Daniel Pineda. I picked Pineda to win. Okay, Jesus fucking Christ, I thought he would get a submission. And he almost did on so many occasions. I thought I was going to be correct on so many fucking occasions, especially in that first round. That armbar was tight. But apparently vegan bones are built different. Okay, they become flexible because they're not as hard, right? They're soft and malleable as opposed to hard and rigid, which I guess in certain circumstances can work in your favor. And then it was funny too, because both these guys got tired, and I said to my wife, I said, the difference is going to be, though, Daniel Pineda looked way more tired. The reason he looked way more tired is because vegans are always used, they're always used to feeling tired. So Alex Caceres lives tired. You know what I mean? He's used to this shit. So you're not going to notice. It's just every day for him. So he just kept it going, pouring it on. That was a phenomenal fucking fight, though. Like, credit to both these guys. Daniel Pineda, tough as fucking nails. I can't believe he ate those liver kicks, those body shots. Those were brutal. Absolutely brutal. And good performance by Alex Caceres. He's on a bit of a streak now. Pineda, still looking good at the age that he's at, so it's impressive. And I'm glad that these guys got fight of the night because goddamn, they deserved it. These guys woke me up for the main event. You know what I mean? And then I was excited. Whereas before I was kind of like, geez, this card is not great. I just want the pay-per-view next week. All right, we move on up to the worst robbery of 2023, in my opinion. Kara-France versus Amir Albazi. This is inexcusable, in my opinion. I truly don't know how any judge could have scored 3 rounds for Amir Albazi, and I don't even know how. Man, potentially you could give him rounds 2 and 3 or 1 and 3, but I don't think you can give him anything other than that. And I think that this is super unfortunate because Kara-France works his fucking ass off. Okay, he never loses 2 in a row. He always gets a bounce back victory. And he did just that. He showed us that Amir Albazi is not championship material, in my opinion. Right? I think Brandon Moreno finishes him. I think fucking Pantoja potentially finishes him. I think Brandon Royval could fuck this dude up. You know what I mean? And Kara-France could have been in the mix with all those boys. He could have been trying to enact revenge over dudes like Pantoja and shit like that. And they just completely fuck him. And I'm so sick of these judges, man. I'm sick of it. It makes no fucking sense. I want to actually pull up the strike numbers. Because aside from round 3, okay, where Albazi took the back and was unable to strangle Kara-France, but did attempt it, right? He wins that round based off of grappling. The takedowns in any of these other rounds, which he did not get many. Kara-France's takedown defense was on fucking point. None of them matter. And the reason none of them matter is because of the strike count, right? We don't need to go to that. We can determine these rounds based off of the striking numbers. We don't need to go to we don't need to go to the next scoring criteria. We don't need to look at takedowns. We don't need to look at control time. We don't need to look at any of that. Round number 1, Kara-France, significant strikes, 13-6, right? 13 of 40, the 32% clip. Amir Albazi, 6 of 23, right? What the fuck, dude? Round number 2, 16-11, significant strikes. Both landed at a 29% clip. But no ground strikes landed in round number 1. No ground strikes landed in round number 2. So we don't need to factor in any fucking grappling and what happened on the ground, right? Round 1 and round 2, Albazi got outstruck in significant strikes. Now, you could argue, I guess, in one of these rounds that maybe his shots were the cleaner shots, that maybe his shots landed a little bit harder. But I don't think that any of them really... I mean, was there a knockdown in one of these rounds? I can't quite remember. I'm going to look this up, actually. Hold on one second. I just want to be accurate. There were no knockdowns in this fight. Right? There were a couple times where he looked like he had stung Kara-France, but there were also times where Kara-France appeared to have stung him. And you got guys like fucking the cuck himself, the cuck headmaster, Bilal Muhammad, who, in my opinion, I think is I think he's Dr. Evil to Amir Albazi's mini-me. I think they are fucking clones of one another. But there is no way you're scoring this fight for Amir Albazi in any fucking world. And if you are, I don't know what to say to you. Look at this. The only round that there was any ground strikes whatsoever was round number 3. And we don't even need to factor those in because the submission attempt and the dominance that Albazi had on the ground for that round was enough to win him that round. So he wins round number 3. There is a serious argument here that Kara-France won 49-46, in my opinion. Look at round number 5. Look at round number 4. Some dumb fuck judge gave round number 4 to Amir Albazi. Chris Lee, I believe it was. It's disgusting. You've completely fucked Kara-France out of half his fucking money, out of his number 3 ranking, out of a potential title shot, out of a potential title contention shot. It's fucking gross, man. It's gross. And look, I don't like Israel Adesanya. I know that seems confusing because I've got his picture up here. I don't like Israel Adesanya. I agree with his tweets, man. These guys need to be interviewed after the fights. Open scoring won't fix anything. Because what you'll do is you'll create a world where the guy who's getting robbed will end up getting finished. And then we don't get to... The story won't be the judge's corruption. The story will be that fucking homeboy got a finish. You know what I mean? This happened... They have open scoring in Glory. Glory Kickboxing. You still see fuck decisions. But the problem is that if you've got a guy who is... Let's say it's a 3-round fight and you've got open scoring, right? And you've got a guy who should have won rounds 1 and round 2. Or let's say you've got a guy who lost round 1 and his opponent gassed, Jesus. And then he comes out there and he fucking destroys round number 2. You know what I mean? And then this guy's almost broken, right? We've got 1 round left and this guy's momentum is, it's all in his favor. And he's going to come out in round number 3 and put on a fucking clinic, win a close 29-28 decision, right? That guy sees he's now down 2 rounds, even though he just clearly won that last round. He's going to go out there, balls to the fucking wall, and try to get a finish, because if he doesn't, he loses a decision, and there's nothing he can do about it. And then he potentially, you know what I mean? You're setting up situations where the guys who are getting fucking robbed will get finished, because they're going to go out there, and they're going to try to get a finish. They're going to expose themselves. They're going to be desperate. They're going to get fucking finished. And it's bullshit. Imagine if Kara-France figured out that going into round number 5 on 2 of those judges' scorecards, he was fucking down. He had already lost the fight. Because if I'm not mistaken, every judge gave him round number 5, right? Which means that the 2 judges that had scored him losing the fight, it didn't matter what he did in round number 5. He could have won round number 5. He still lost to 2 of them. You know what I mean? But if he realized, I'm losing and gonna lose, no matter if I win this round or not, on 2 of the judges' scorecards, I need to go out there and fucking finish this guy, and then Albazi clips him. And then we're talking about what an amazing finish Amir Albazi got, and not that fucking Kara-France got baited into going for a finish and being desperate and exposing himself when he should have been winning in the first place. Right? Open scoring won't fix a fucking thing. These guys need to be held accountable. And they should have like asterisks on their fucking... They should have asterisks on their fucking name every time this shit happens. And if you get to a certain amount of asterisks, because look, man, we're all humans here. People make mistakes, right? You could not see something, or you could see something that didn't look like it landed, but maybe it did once you look at a slow motion replay from a different angle or whatever. Like, humans make mistakes. But this is at a level where you're in control. It's like these guys are the fighters' bosses, but non-consensually, right? The fighters did not sign up to fight for the Athletic Commission or for Chris Lee, for Sal D'Amato, for Ron McCarthy. They didn't sign up to fight for these guys. They signed up to fight for the UFC. But the UFC ultimately, who may write the check, is not in control of how much money they get, right? The Athletic Commission is, right? Chris Lee and Sal D'Amato took Kara-France's fucking check and cut it in half. And they took his number 3 ranking and they gave it to another opponent. You know what I mean? It's fucking gross, man. This shit drives me fucking nuts. And yeah, it always seems to go one direction. And it's weird, man, because you'd think Kara-France, he's teammates with Israel Adesanya. Like, this guy's not... It's not like he's fucking not popular or something. Fuck, man, this is bullshit. The open scoring thing, I keep seeing people say, it's not going to change anything. The accountability is the only thing that will change something. That's the only thing. They need to show up to the post-fight press conferences. You need to have people there who are scoring this fight outside, like a third party. You need to hire fucking Omega fans, dude, who are autistic, who have read the scoring criteria, who are going to sit there interested and fucking watch these fights and score them. And they not just score them, they need to score, they need to say why. And then at the end of the night, right, at the end of the post-fight press conferences, the judges need to show up, and this third-party Omega fucking Omega autist fans need to interrogate them, because they're fucking dudes' lives over, okay? And fucking Mini Bilal just gets gifted a victory. And not just that, the implications are massive, dude. What month is it? We're in fucking June. He'll probably be fighting for a title in Abu Dhabi, whether it's interim or not. You know, or he'll get a title eliminator fight. Whereas Kara-France now has got to work his way back up. He's lost 2 in a row. He just lost to a guy ranked 4 below him. Man, it's fucked. That is fuck shit. I mean, I don't see any which way. And fucking retard Bilal, the cuck himself over there, tweeting like crazy that it's not a robbery. Kara-France didn't do enough damage. I know that this doesn't tell the whole story. Context matters. Look at their fucking faces. Kara-France didn't do enough damage? Hey, what did Amir Albazi do? You fucking imbecile. You fucking inbred, like, oh, dude. You fucking cuck. This is why I fucking hate Bilal. For all the guys who want me to stop hating Bilal, this is why, dude. Be honest with yourself and with your fucking friends or whatever. Like, that was a clear cut 3-2, if not 4-1 decision for Kara-France. And there have been bad decisions that I don't get this upset about. And it's not because I picked him. I don't think it's fair that they rob a guy of half his fucking money and a title shot or a title contention fight because they've got a guy who they think could be popular in a certain part of the world. And then the judges just don't have to answer any questions whatsoever. I would love to sit Chris Lee down, watch round 4 with him, and have him justify how he managed to give Amir Albazi round number 4. Justify it to me. And if you're able to justify it to me, I'll fucking agree with you. There is no world. And the Weasel already did a Who Really Won video, and he even has it closer than I fucking think it was. But he still has Kara-France winning. Bullshit, dude. Bullshit. And I feel bad for Kara-France. I know that appeals don't work, but I feel like more fighters should just go through the process. And I understand that it's like disheartening and discouraging because you get told, oh, fuck, it's not going to do anything. If you were to do it more often and the commission had to deal with it non-fucking stop, I would imagine there might be some changes. The accountability needs to happen. And guys, nothing's going to happen unless fans actually like get upset and revolt over this, because as long as the UFC, like, as long as you keep coming back, which fuck I'm going to, you know what I mean, I have to. I love this sport, I loved watching it, but like, what the fuck, Dana White? Do something about it. Honestly, do something. And the annoying thing is it doesn't matter which organization you go to, they're all the same athletic commissions, unless you're talking about one championship. But even when one championship comes here, they're using our like the United States Athletic Commissions, right? Like the state athletic commission. It's fucking garbage, man. Kara-France won that fight. Rounds 1, maybe. Rounds 2, even maybe. Round 4 and round 5, clear as fucking day. You know what I mean? He could have potentially won that fight 4-1. He outstruck him a ton. Total strikes, 133-64. What is this, fucking Robbie Lawler versus Carlos Condit? You know what I mean? At least in that fight, Robbie Lawler had moments where he fucking hurt Condit. Amir Albazi, like, fuck off, dude. Significant strikes, 99-40 fucking 3. 1 sub attempt. That's 1 round. Bullshit, man. It was a good performance by Kara-France. And Amir Albazi is not fucking championship material. Fuck out of here, dude. Fucking mini Bilal. He's just cucking, dude. He's learning about being a cuck. That's why he was standing there watching most of the fucking fight, landing 5 fucking strikes in round number 4. I just hit my fucking mic. Anyways, dude, that's the end of this video. Like and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. I'll thank you in advance because I'm Canadian, eh? Thank you very much, eh? Greatly appreciate it. Please subscribe. I'll see you at the next video. Bye-bye.